There's a massive quantum shift happening. And if you can't see it, you need to look around for just a moment. Why are so many people living broke right now?
We're all feeling inflation right now.
Americans are paying the price for rising inflation.
And many people don't exactly know why.
The more dollars that get printed, the more that gets put into circulation, the higher the prices of all of these assets are going.
It's an old, archaic banking system.
It's pretty apparent at this point that we're in a transition.
It seems like we're on the brink of a major collapse. I think it's almost undeniable.
The system has to.
It started quietly. No big launch, no hype, just a coin, moving faster than anyone expected. By 2025, $10 trillion had moved outside the traditional SWIFT banking network. Banks were worried. XRP was different. No miners, no borders, just speed. The question, can technology break what's considered unbreakable? Years before Bitcoin was a name, Ryan Fugger was working on an answer. His vision was simple, radical. Give people the power to create their own money. In 2004, he coded it into RipplePay.com, a small site with a big idea: community credit outside the bank's grip. Time passed. The world moved toward blockchain. In another corner of the web, Jed McCaleb was building something different. A digital currency that didn't need the waste of mining, just trust and consensus. McCaleb found Chris Larson, a fintech veteran who understood compliance as much as code. Together, they brought their plan to Fugger. He gave them the green light. OpenCoin was born. In their cramped San Francisco office above a taqueria, the team, now joined by cryptographer David Schwartz, worked under flickering fluorescent lights. They pushed code into the night, dreaming of a network where value moved like email. From those nights came the XRP ledger and its native token, XRP. Lean, fast, and borderless. When the rebrand to Ripple came in 2015, it wasn't just a name change. It was a statement. This was no hobbyist coin. This was the next layer of global finance. The XRP ledger was live and fast. Every few seconds, it closed another ledger, locking in global consensus. David Schwartz would explain it like a magician revealing a trick. Send your money in here. It turns into XRP, flies across the world, turns back into your currency, all in seconds. The first live corridors, Mexico and the Philippines, proved it worked. Families received remittances instantly without the $30 fees that had stolen from them for years.
I think we're going to see a dramatic change over the next 10 or even 15 years. XRP is part of the heartbeat of Ripple.
You had kind of the ability to exchange anything of value in a very efficient way through this ingenious pathfinding algorithm.
The utility aspect of XRP, you can move value from one place to another place instantly for a very, very nominal cost.
Instead of it taking 3 to 5 days for a payment to go through from one bank to another cross-border, it now takes 3 to 5 seconds. That's a game changer.
They would have globally dominated the entire industry, but for the regulators pulling them back and Congress kind of not getting with the program.
But in boardrooms, bankers hesitated. Too fast to trust, they said. So Ripple shifted the pitch. It wasn't about replacing the system, it was about integrating with it. Products like Xcurrent and XVIA spoke the banker's language, wrapping the revolution in a suit and tie. Screens glowed in trading rooms. Charts pulsed in green and red. XRP's market cap surged past giants like PayPal and Netflix, climbing so high it briefly became the second largest cryptocurrency in the world, only behind Bitcoin. In the frenzy of early 2018, XRP's price brushed $3.84. Crypto Twitter was a firestorm, rocket emojis, bold price targets, and endless memes. CNBC aired segment after segment debating whether XRP could dethrone Ethereum for good. Then came the reversal. Weeks later, the charts bled red. The hype drained out like air from a punctured balloon. For most projects, that would have been the end. Ripple's answer wasn't retreat. It was to dig deeper. Partnerships with MoneyGram, Western Union, and a growing roster of regional banks quietly expanded the network's reach. transactions still zipped across corridors, even if headlines had moved on. By 2019, RippleNet connected over 300 financial institutions worldwide. The once experimental corridors were now busy routes for cross-border flows. David Schwartz, with his quick wit and deep technical dives, became a cult figure on crypto Twitter. Meanwhile, CEO Brad Garlinghouse stepped onto global stages. Davos, IMF panels, central bank summits, promising not to replace the dollar, but to replace friction itself. Yet under the applause, the murmurs grew louder. Critics questioned Ripple's heavy reliance on XRP sales to fund operations. Some analysts argued that transaction volume numbers were inflated by incentives to partners. Skeptics whispered that much of the liquidity was synthetic, driven by Ripple itself. Inside Ripple's offices, engineers pressed ahead, refining consensus code, boosting ledger throughput, and fine-tuning the on-demand liquidity engine. But the brighter the spotlight, the longer the shadows became. Competitors were circling, regulators were watching, and the next challenge wasn't going to come from a rival coin, it was going to come from Washington. The SEC filed its complaint, accusing Ripple of raising $1.3 billion through unregistered securities sales. Garlinghouse and Larson were named personally. The filing dropped like a hammer. Traders froze, analysts scrambled to understand the implications. In days, Coinbase, Kraken, and other major US exchanges announced suspensions or full delistings of XRP.
You know, we absolutely want to see the United States lead in this new arena that we call blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And the clarity really emanates from the Securities and Exchange Commission.
It was the darkest day of the year. It was December 21st that Brad Garlinghouse came out and basically informed the world that they were soon going to be sued by the SEC.
The SEC its mandate is to help protect investors.
I got flooded out of the whole project because of this lawsuit. I lost my dream, my hope of buying something really, really solid.
At the very least, it's the appearance of impropriety. You know, and then the other end of the spectrum, it's absolute coercion and collusion, right, and market manipulation.
People are going to lose money, and people had their life savings in XRP. It was Christmas Eve. I came back at about 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Christy said, where the hell have you been for the last several hours? And I looked at it and I said, I think I'm going to sue the SEC.
Liquidity in the American market evaporated almost overnight. Then came the 2021 bull run. Bitcoin at $69,000.
Nice.
Ethereum tripling left XRP stranded under $2, barely moving while the rest of the market soared. Ripple fought back, framing the case as regulatory overreach. They argued that XRP's sales on public exchanges were not securities transactions, pointing to its decentralized validator network and utility in cross-border payments. The defense demanded the release of the SEC's internal communications on digital assets, particularly the now famous Hinman speech drafts, where Ethereum was described as not a security. Discovery dragged on. Court documents became public, dissected line by analysts and crypto YouTubers. Each motion felt like a verdict for the future of the entire industry, and with every new filing, the stakes grew clearer. This wasn't just Ripple on trial, it was the question of whether a cryptocurrency could survive US regulation at all.
Became convinced that this whole case was merely a show. It was an attempt by the federal government to slow down the adoption and perpetuation of XRP.
Jay Clayton drops this lawsuit on his last day in office, like mission accomplished.
Jay Clayton, he hires his good friend, Bill Hinman.
Bill Hinman came to the stand in 2018 and gave his famous speech where he declared that Ethereum wasn't a security.
They did not issue that much Ether, and yet they let Bill Hinman go ahead and make the speech, saying that they're decentralized.
The bureaucracy beast system has been weaponized against the American people.
Dozen FBI agents, guns a-blazing, came into my home. They tossed me into this van as if I'm Pablo Escobar or somebody.
Summer 2023. The crypto world holds its breath. A ruling drops. Judge Annalisa Torres declares that XRP is not a security when sold on public exchanges, a clear win on the biggest question in the case. The reaction is instantaneous. It's like someone flipped a switch. Exchanges that had abandoned XRP years ago scramble to relist it within hours. The price rockets more than 70% in a single day. Brad Garlinghouse appears on CNBC, calling it a victory for crypto. David Schwartz fires off a single tweet. Clarity. But behind the celebration, the fine print is harder to ignore. The judge also rules that certain institutional sales did violate securities laws. The SEC signals it may appeal parts of the decision. The fight isn't over. Not yet. Meanwhile, Ripple's on-demand liquidity is moving billions through corridors in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Partnerships deepen. Central bank digital currency pilots launch in places like Bhutan and Palau. The XRP ledger rolls out major upgrades. Automated market makers, native token issuance, and sidechain support, making it more versatile than ever. However, the partial court win hit it like jet fuel. Within weeks, institutional desks are calling again. Analysts who once ignored XRP quietly slide it back into their coverage notes. Developers return to GitHub, forking repos, shipping updates, finishing projects that had been frozen in time since 2020. In Telegram chats and Discord threads, the mantra is everywhere. XRP is back. Through 2024, the remedies phase grinds on. The courtroom isn't as loud now, but every filing still matters. Analysts dissect legal documents line by line, betting on penalties. Ripple's lawyers negotiate future terms for institutional sales. The SEC pushes for tighter controls. Ripple pushes back. Markets twitch with every new order that hits the docket. Then, another bombshell. Ripple's buy-in Circle, the powerhouse behind USDC, the second largest stablecoin on the planet. Headlines flash. Bloomberg claims the deal's on the table. Is Ripple going for the stablecoin crown? Brad Garlinghouse shuts it down in one sentence, flatly denying any interest. But the timing? Suspicious. Circle is just days away from its IPO, ticker CRCL, targeting a $7.2 billion valuation, 32 million shares, $27 to $28 each. Ripple's countermove: launch its own US dollar-backed stablecoin, RLUSD, in April 2025. Market cap: $310 million, a fraction of USDC's $61.5 billion. But this wasn't about size. They just dropped $1.25 billion acquiring Hidden Road, a global brokerage and credit network, and were quietly piloting real estate tokenization projects with UAE regulators. By mid-2025, price chatter replaces legal speculation. Then, in July, it happens. On trading screens, XRP smashes through its 2018 all-time high, touching $3.60. The moment is electric. Traders cheer. Long-time holders flood feeds with triumphant memes. News anchors beam. XRP hits new all-time high. For the first time in years, XRP's story isn't about surviving a lawsuit. It's about scale, adoption, and momentum. The charts are green, and for the XRP faithful, this feels like the start of a brand new chapter.
The United States government's probably the biggest bully in the world. You gotta defend yourself or you're gonna get bullied forever.
We assemble an army so that we can be at the forefront of this change.
The XRP Army is a group of diverse people from all over.
Good morning, Warriors. Hello and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news channel, Good Morning Crypto.
I ended up posting it on Twitter, the lawsuit, and the next thing you know, it was 5,000, 12,000, 20,000, and eventually grew to over 75,000 people from 143 countries around the world, all joined.
They want to be part of the new digital revolution. Blockchain technology is going to change everything.
There's always going to be a danger associated with blockchain, and there's also going to be benefits and things that are going to help and improve humanity.
We're just
trying to utilize a new blockchain technology to benefit charities even more than they are now.
If you know a veteran that's struggling, may need to hit that reset button, have them look us up.
I'm very optimistic about the crypto market in 2024.
We're entering an era where it's believed that all assets of value will be tokenized eventually.
The problem tokenization solves ultimately is accessibility.
By using intelligent tokenomics and smart contracts, we may at some point truly eliminate poverty on planet Earth.
The internet democratized information, and crypto and blockchain will do the same with value. There's little doubt about how far we have come, but I'm incredibly excited for the journey ahead.
August 8th, 2025, after 4 relentless years, it was over. Ripple and the SEC filed a joint dismissal of their appeals, a final handshake to end one of the most high-profile battles in crypto history. The commissioners had voted. The case was closed. Ripple's $125 million penalty would be released from escrow and paid to the SEC. Judge Torres' ruling stood as the final word. XRP is not a security. The injunction remains, but the shadow of the lawsuit is gone. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderoty, called it the end. Traders called it a victory. The markets agreed. XRP spiked over 9%, touching $3.27. Analysts say this all but clears the way for a spot XRP ETF, with BlackRock rumored to be waiting for exactly this moment. For the XRP faithful, this isn't just a legal win, it's the start of a new chapter. The lawsuit is history, the charts are green, and the road ahead has never looked more open.